So I'm here with Mirela Atanasiu. Mirela is head of the unit for operations and communications at the Clean Hydrogen Partnership, and we've worked together for several years because the Luxembourg Hydrogen Valley has been running for a few years now. And I wanted to ask you a few questions about the JU and especially what you do with hydrogen valleys. So can you tell us a bit of the history and then something towards the valley support?
Thanks very much, Bradley, for having me first. And very happy to try to quickly answer to your question. Indeed, getting back a bit to how we started 10 years ago, I would dare to say 10 years ago when we came with this concept of working with the local authorities, developing this ecosystem approach to really push hydrogen economy into the field and try in the same time not only to get the public on our side, but also the public authorities and the regions somehow. Yep. So 10 years ago, working with the regions, we realized there is an appetite in Europe for that. The regions would like to decarbonize their local ecosystems with hydrogen technologies, and they're willing even to invest. So that's when we came with the idea of the valleys, with the concept, with the definition of a valley, and even with the name. We came with the name.
It's quite unique. We kind of pioneered that in Europe, right?
Exactly.
This concept of hydrogen valleys, because I guess in North America they often say hubs, and
because I think we have a different definition, and I always like to explain why we call it valley. Because we would like, again, to work with everything that the region has most valuable. From, and sometimes European Commission calls it also smart specialization. Okay. Meaning to try to keep the jobs in the region.
Hugely important.
Work with what the region has the best. For example, if it has certain industries, certain competencies, research organizations, academia, work with what you have in that region and don't force to change what you have, because in that way you keep the competencies and you keep the jobs in that region. So that's why we call them valleys. We came somehow still from the Americans, from the Silicon Valley concept.
Oh, right.
But I believe this is how we started, like I said, about 10 years ago. What we also realized in this 10 years period is that we have work to do on different streams. And supporting valleys not only with funding, but also with maturing the projects. Yep. And in that respect, we have two ways of support: the grants, and in the grants we supported 25, soon to be 28 grants, valleys across Europe, more than 320 million in the 25 and counting.
And that's mostly split between small valleys like the Luxembourg Hydrogen Valley that nominally should aim for 500 tons per year of renewable hydrogen, and something 10 times bigger.
10 times bigger, exactly. The funding doesn't go proportionally with the volumes, but because we have limited funding, we look at how much the joint undertaking, the partnership, can help with the risk. And that's how we decided where to and how much to put or allocate in terms of funding. In this 25 valleys right now, what we are proud of and noticing is we have more than 1.6 billion total costs. Yep. Which right now I have to be honest, we are trying to identify because in some valleys we know, but not in all of them. That it's composed, the rest of the investments are private, national, regional. So it's a combination of different investments, which we call either additional investments or we call them leverage, or we call them whatever we want. Absolutely. We also know, and we are trying to map, that these are the total costs, again, declared to us in a grant.
But there's probably even more.
Even more, and in half of them, because like I said, work is in progress, in half of them, we have identified more than 2.8 billion. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, so we are still trying to map, because sometimes our grant and our valley is in fact the first step into a much
breaks
bigger
down the barrier
plan.
So that something can flow, right? Really
get
going.
Exactly. Last number I would like to mention into answering to your question is the additional investment that we see into the PDA. We just
So you'll have to explain what PDA is
Yes.
briefly.
the PDA is the project development assistance, and is the other stream. So in one way, we support more mature grants with some funding to go through the first phase of such projects. And another way, we support maturing the projects, making them fundable or bankable. And that's what we do in the project development assistance. So we pay consultants, in this case Rollenberger, with a Valley facility, to help another pipeline of projects to mature and get them to the funding, which could be to us or to other funding opportunities.
I really want to give you full credit for that, because I didn't expect that at the beginning. I thought that the PDA would be something to feed projects into your pipeline, but you're completely agnostic. You're completely
Exactly.
open.
Yeah.
And you're just as happy if someone uses your PDA, but then gets funding from the Innovation Fund or from the national funding.
Yeah.
You just want to see the project succeed.
Exactly.
More hydrogen,
we
more
just
jobs, more
wanted to
investment.
maximize the money we have.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. And with 12 million in the PDA support, just to mature the project, we make a pipeline of another 40. That's our plan. That can get the funds from other sources of funding, even private funds. But we just help to mature the project and speed up a bit getting to the FID, because we know both our valleys and other projects are having these problems of getting to the FID. And in this way also get to the aspirational target of the European Commission of 50 valleys operational by 2030. But my number, still, in the project development assistance, in the first wave of 15 projects, they are counting a total investment of 10 billion,
Wow.
10.3 billion.
That's
in
incredible.
the 15 PDAs.
Okay.
Which, like I said, we
that's the
cannot
business
fund
case for these
that.
15
We cannot
projects.
fund.
Yeah.
But that can get support from another source, and again can leverage again, if I have to use the same word, funding from another source, being
But
national.
many of those other
regional.
sources are represented here today as well, right? In the Clean Hydrogen Alliance, we've heard from the EIB, we've heard about the Innovation Fund, about Connecting Europe facility.
Exactly.
There are many other instruments, but just as someone involved with hydrogen valleys, the barrier to get to the point where you can even consider applying for them is a very high barrier. And very few of us have the experience of getting a concept to that level of maturity. So I think the PDA is a terrific instrument. And
they complement each other.
Yeah.
They clearly complement each other, and you will see tomorrow in the Valleys Day, we will go through some examples on both sides, on the grants and on the PDAs, to explain a bit how we get to the FID and how we get to being operational in both cases. So I would really I'm myself looking forward to
I'm
to
super
the
optimistic.
discussions.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mirela.
Thank you, Bradley. Thank you very much.